Sarah Bennett rushed through the busy downtown. Her food stall shift had ended early. A crowd gathered near the corporate plaza. Someone needed help. She sensed it immediately. Her first aid training kicked in instinctively. "Please let me through," she called out. A man in an expensive suit collapsed. His face was pale and lifeless. Business people stood around taking photos helplessly. Sarah dropped to her knees quickly. "Sir, can you hear me?" she asked. No response came from the stranger. She checked his pulse with practiced hands, her heart racing but mind staying clear. "Call 911 now," she commanded the crowd. Sarah began chest compressions with determination. 30 compressions, then rescue breaths followed. The man's life depended on her. Minutes felt like hours as she worked. Her arms ached, but she continued steadily. Finally, the man gasped and breathed. His eyes fluttered open with confusion. "You're safe now," Sarah whispered gently. Ambulance sirens approached in the distance. "What happened to me?" Evan Flecht asked. His voice was weak but grateful. Sarah held his hand reassuringly and calmly. "You had a heart attack, sir," she explained with compassion and understanding. "But you're going to be okay." The paramedics took over with professional efficiency. Sarah started to leave the scene quietly. "Wait," Evan called out with urgency. "I need to know your name." His eyes held deep gratitude and curiosity. "Sarah Bennett," she replied with simple honesty. Weeks later, Evan tracked down Sarah's address. He arrived at her small apartment. Flowers and a check filled his hands. "I want to repay your kindness," he said with business-like precision and formality. Sarah looked puzzled by his gesture. "I don't need money," Sarah replied honestly. Her voice carried gentle but firm conviction. "I'm just glad you're alive and well." Evan stared at her with growing amazement. No one had ever refused his offers. "Then let me hire you," Evan persisted. His company needed people like her. "I run several successful businesses currently," he explained with obvious pride and confidence. Sarah smiled but shook her head kindly. "I have work that fulfills me already," Sarah said with quiet satisfaction and contentment. She explained her community center volunteering. Teaching children brought her genuine joy daily. Evan felt confused by her perspective completely. Over coffee, they shared their different worlds. Evan described board meetings and profit margins. Sarah talked about helping struggling families. "Why do you do it?" he asked with genuine curiosity and growing respect. "Because everyone deserves compassion," Sarah answered simply. Her words touched something deep within him. Evan had forgotten about human connection. His world revolved around numbers and success. Sarah's purpose felt foreign but compelling somehow. Months passed as their friendship grew stronger. Evan began visiting Sarah's community center regularly. He watched her teach children patiently. Her kindness was natural and authentic. Something inside him began changing slowly. "Would you help me start something?" Evan asked one day with newfound purpose. "A program for underprivileged children here." Sarah's eyes lit up with excitement. "You really want to help them?" she asked with hope and wonder. Together, they created educational programs for kids. Evan funded scholarships while Sarah taught. His business skills combined with her compassion. The center transformed into something beautiful. Children thrived under their joint guidance. "I never understood happiness before," Evan admitted. They sat watching children play together. "Profit was my only measure," he said with honest vulnerability and some regret. "You showed me what matters most." Years later, their friendship had transformed them. Sarah's daughter excelled in Evan's programs. Evan's son learned compassion from Sarah. "They seem perfect together," Sarah observed. The teenagers had become close friends. "Maybe they'll fall in love someday," Evan said with a knowing smile. Both families had grown through shared values. Their children embodied kindness and ambition. The next generation looked bright. At their children's wedding years later, Sarah remembered that first day in the plaza. "I saved your life," she whispered. Evan squeezed her hand with affection. "No," he replied with deep emotion. "You saved my soul instead." The ceremony celebrated love and family bonds. Sarah's granddaughter played with Evan's grandson. Two families had become one. Their shared commitment to helping others. The cycle of kindness would continue. "Do you remember what you said?" Evan asked as they watched the plaza where they met. "I said, everyone deserves compassion," Sarah smiled, "and you taught me to live it." The children ran to their grandparents laughing. Sarah and Evan embraced their growing family. "Thank you for teaching me," Evan whispered with profound gratitude and lasting love. "Thank you for letting me," Sarah replied gently. Sometimes saving a heart saves everything.